Hello everybody, welcome. Thanks for taking your time to come here and see all the awesome people and the great event that these great people are setting up for us. I want to talk a little bit about my story and the product that I'm developing. And actually it's kind of like, we're basically developing a game, and the reason why we're doing that is there is something of an artistic element attached to it. And I think that's the thing that kind of drove me to make this my whole thing. But I want to talk to you a little bit about my background so you can get the full picture. So this is me, nice to meet you all. I'm Ata. I lived most of my life in Turkey, but have lived in Germany for several years. Yeah, I love this intercultural communication. I was raised trilingually, so I've always been amongst different cultures, different people, different ideas. That's something that I really love, and that's why I'm in Berlin. And I started playing video games in '99 with SimCity 1, and that was way back then, but FIFA 1 as well, when I met Stas. So a bit of my background is that, and also just some quick things. Produced a documentary which got me interested into media, studied simultaneous language interpretation, which was freaking difficult, so if you do that, please consider it carefully. Hosted entrepreneurship events like TEDx, Creative Coffee, which was very good to give back to the community, and I must think these guys must be feeling the same thing. It's just so awesome to get things going. Run an international NGO, do EU projects, and work as a freelance game developer. Oh, that's very important. So before any journey, know thyself, know thy enemy. I mean, you can make the enemy a bit softer, what your goal is. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. It's very important because throughout my journey, I think that figuring out my weaknesses was the primary reason why I got this far, why I got through all the obstacles. So the idea and motivation behind Suzerain, which is our game, is me experiencing the political turmoil in Turkey, which was quite drastic and extreme, and also the changing dynamics in the world. And asking the question, why does history repeat itself, and why are we not learning from the same mistakes? Figured out that interactive media was very powerful to make stories and touch people personally, emotionally, psychologically. And so we decided to put the player in the middle of politics by letting them play the president. We were essentially hopping into this character in this fictional 1950s universe, and you get to rule a country. So the entire story is told through conversations. That's the best way to explain politics, and I think that was also a very tough thing to do, because we have like 40 characters and it's pretty insane complex. So yeah, this is the game Suzerain. Now I want to talk to you a bit about the how we managed to do it. And although you can actually execute people in the game, but don't. When we started thinking about the idea, we decided, how can we start this? Like, what can we do? What are our capabilities? So know thy weakness. If you don't think you're very capable, then start small and then expand according to your capabilities or your learning curve. So this is actually our first concept of how we started to think how the game scene might look like. And then we moved on a bit. And we decided that there should be 4 main characters that you should always talk about, just these big issues that happen in the country. And we thought, oh, this is pretty limited, and we can do a bit more. So we developed the concept, and we got to this. So this is our final UI, which is like an interactive dialogue screen with characters, different elements that support what is going on in the country, news, and all the character panels, factions panels, overview showing the economy, diplomacy, all the stuff that's going on in the country. These are like some of all the characters that are awesome 2D artists has drawn, so I just wanted to showcase. So the creative process, which is like the main thing of an artist, right? Like it's so hard to get creative, honestly. Like you just had to have that energy, and it's something, whenever you do it, when you're riding that wave, keep on riding it because it's so awesome. So to create any universe, you require excessive amount of creativity. Like we are taking the 50s of our world, but everything else is fiction. So that was pretty crazy. So we created a canvas of cultures, countries, events, and we then built everything on top of that. And while writing, how I created was, I essentially disappeared into this made-up universe in my head, creating, like, putting all those things that we set up as a palette and simulating it into each other in my own mind, which is a bit insane when you think about it. So these imaginary moments in my head that actually made it into the game were influenced by all kinds of inputs I saw in life. And these might be like real world events, TV shows, historical events, or just whatever just came up into my mind. And that's the creative process. You gotta take a lot of input and you kind of create your own filter of it and then try to put it into something. And while writing the story, that was like the main thing. So this is one of our dialogue trees. This is like a very zoomed in version. You can see all the character entities, you can see the player and all the choices you can make. There are a lot of these, and it takes quite a lot of time to write these, but these are making up our game. And I'm gonna show you 1/5 of all the dialogue trees. So, yeah. I didn't think I would be here when I started. It's like, yeah, let's just make it very simple, but that didn't end up being. Good thing is we're like 80% done, so at this point I feel kind of secure. But don't quote me on that, wait for next year. So I wanted to, like this is one of our events that we went to recently, but I wanted to show some other stuff, like talk about other stuff like stress, which is like an important element that you gotta manage in whatever you do, right? And I think it's something that's being overshadowed and overlooked in many of these talks. Like, what are the realities and complexities of making something that you love that is also achievable and whatever? So doubts are normal, and you gotta ease into the journey. That's, I think, one of the main things that I had to go through. Again, know yourself, know your limits, don't overestimate. And how you're at your worst day matters, because you gotta manage everything, even at your worst state. So for a product and for a company, whatever to go through, or whatever art piece you're working on, it is all about managing yourself and your progression, and that maintenance is very important. And for me, and this might be for different people, but for me, money is a means to an end, and I have a higher purpose, which is to create something that touches people and that makes them reflect on society and the world right now. And failure is fine, obviously. We got into this journey, and the games industry is pretty tough. Success rates are less than 5%, but we got into this never thinking that we would succeed, and that makes you really bold. If you're in knowing that you're gonna not make it, you're just gonna do everything to make it, and that's, I think, a good psychology to have. But that's for me, not for everyone. And sharing my worries and thoughts was really helpful throughout the journey, so I recommend you do so as well. So I also do game design, and this is a combination of all of our, not all of our, but like most of our design trees. As you can see, it's quite insane. And while watching Bandersnatch, I actually really felt the character. It's pretty insane, but yeah, we gotta have good design because there's a lot of story, and you gotta link everything together. So team and dream, like, the team is everything, honestly. If I was alone in this journey, I wouldn't have gotten far. Like, it would have been a pretty limited game, and it wouldn't have the commercial potential. So if you're working on something that needs a couple of people, which is, our team is 5 people, then team up early. Find talented and passionate people to work on the concepts. First, working on concepts is very key. Without developing a concept, it's really hard to go anywhere else, I think. And surrounding yourself with constructive and critical people, like a good feedback loop of what's good, what's bad, is what makes everything better. And yeah, don't just make them work with them, because like, that's the best thing, teamwork, and that's the thing that makes the dream happen. It literally is. And everybody has different motivations, obviously, and finding them and utilizing them is very key in making everything work. So this is some of our, yeah, this is all of our team, not a big team, but yeah, thanks to these people, I'm really living my dream. So yeah, some more pictures from some events, but that's not work. So the business strategy, I know it's an art event, but I think it's also kind of important to how to monetize your art. And for us, it was like concept and prototype for as long as possible. And finding the right talent and the team to produce, the solid product. And we then seeking investors and doing with the advanced prototype, signing with the right publisher, which is a games industry thing. That's a long topic, I'm not gonna get it right now, but yeah. And then sell the first product on all digital platforms. There are a lot of digital platforms for games that you can sell on, and then use the revenue of the first product to develop the second product to make a new one. This is like our roadmap. So it's a 3-year project right now, and it's quite long when you think about it, but intensity increased later on. So it started 2017 and just went on. So the transition, and I want to talk about this as well, because if you want to do what you love, I think it's very important to face the realities of life, right? Not all of us have disposable income or this ability to just do whatever you want forever. So you got to consider how to create art and to create your circumstances to be able to do so. So I worked 2 years for absolutely nothing to create a prototype. Was forced to take another job because money. Saved the money to have enough runway in the transition period. Was supported by close friends, was awesome. Without them, it would have been a pretty rough time. And quit my job went full-time after negotiations with investors began. Receiving investment and signing took 6 months. So that's kind of the best picture that showed the entire process of this product development and me, because it's quite insane when you're your bank account is just dipping, and you're waiting from 15 investors, which one is gonna talk to us, and which one is gonna come back. But it kind of makes you notice how much you want to tell something or create your art. So yeah, why? Why did I go through all of this, right? What's the point? There was a story in me that had to be told. It was experienced by my experiences in Turkey, which is the counter coup, the big protests, bombs, and a lot of stuff. But it was just not about Turkey. It was about the human struggle, our psychology, that keeps putting us in a situation where we abuse our power or do things or whatever they might be for whatever reasons. This story lives on with us throughout civilization. It's not related to one geographic area. It's happened here, it happens everywhere. So I gotta tell why and just deep into the questions. And for me, there's nothing more fulfilling than creating something and having others experience this. Because you create something and other people literally spend their time to enjoy it. And that's crazy. And when they get out, and we had some reactions whoa, I never thought about this. I never thought from this perspective. And it made me do my choices and everything just differently. It's something completely awesome. And our creativity is what makes us unique, and expressing something that springs out from all the combination of sensory inputs, which is listening, hearing, whatever, all the memories we have. And then creating out of that is the most human thing ever, because we're taking so much information in. It's throughout our lives, and then we filter that or create that or package that in a way and put it out. And I think, there are some awesome animals out there that do art as well, painting elephants and stuff on YouTube, but this is the thing that really makes us human, and I think that's the awesome thing about it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ata. Please stay on stage for a second. Do you have any questions? Anybody who's interested, go direct with a question for Ata. Don't have to be nervous. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Okay, so in those 2 years where you worked for absolutely nothing and working towards a bigger goal, what was your biggest low point and what made you go through this?
That is a great question. Biggest low points. There were 2 times where it got too much, right? And one was when I overworked myself for 4 months straight, didn't go out much, whatever. And then one day I had nearly a small, I wouldn't say it was a panic attack, but it was a big anxiety attack. And then that was a low point. It's oh my God, I'm working so much and I'm really focused on this that is affecting my health. So what can I do to improve it, right? To do stuff so I can actually succeed on the longer term. That really helped me improve, to look at things from a perspective of all right, work-life balance, they keep saying it, I gotta do it now. I've heard it all the time, but now I gotta do it. So that was a low point. The second low point was when I had to take another job, which was the worst feeling ever, because I had to kind of slow down what I was working on, what I loved, for something else, just for financial reasons. And that kind of makes you think about the world and how everything runs, but we live in this world, so we gotta just accept the rules. What we can do is bend the currents to the best way that it fits us, so like we are happy. So that was pretty bad. And after that, after I quit, waiting like for a response from investors was nerve-wracking. It was like June, July, and I stood there, I'm like, am I gonna get a message? And then I got the message and like, yes, we love it, we wanna put the money in. It's a great idea, we think it's gonna sell. And I was like, I read the mail, I didn't believe it. I was like, it's supposed to be a dream. So I went to sleep that day, and I woke up and I checked my mail again. I'm like, holy crap. And the thing is, we dreamed about partnering with these guys 2 years ago. We're like, oh, this is our top pick, we wanna work with them. And then like them accepting us was like pretty insane. Yeah, so there you go.
Big up. Any more questions? If not, you can catch Susie Rain and Ata over on his table very, very soon.
Yeah, we gotta get them running so we can try it out.
Okay.
Thank you.